there's an obvious demise there. You can't deny that. Like, you know, I think that he was getting hit by a very one-dimensional fighter in Arslan Makhmudov, who, let's have it right, is a fringe, not even a fringe, world-class operator. He has now become more hittable, and that is a concern for the younger heavyweights coming through.
The riddle me this, riddle me that mentality of Tyson Fury, that this is it. If I don't fight Anthony Joshua, I'm done. What a load of old bollocks.
5, 10 years, it's got to happen now,
Yeah.
or it's like it's going to lose its power.
To me, he looked like a dead man walking from the first round when his legs were going.
I just don't think that he's a world-class fighter. I think he's sort of British level.
Is that them at it because they quite fancy a bit of the Conor Benn financial train, do you think?
Yeah, possibly, or maybe a sort of like a meal ticket sort of thing. I'm like depressed. Like, yeah, that's what it was like. Kind of lost my identity, and then it was like, I've lost my purpose. What am I going to do now? Idle hands make work for the devil.
Correct,
you know? So I've no problem with anybody that thinks that he thought he won the first fight. The backlash from the first one was so uncalled for.
Welcome to episode 167 of Talk Boxing with Simon Jordan, Spencer Oliver and Paul Smith, brought to you by DAZN, the global home of boxing. Today, we have a rare beast in the studio, an undisputed world champion, Josh Taylor. Nice to see you, mate. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, guys.
You're welcome. Everyone all right?
Very good.
Good. I'm not really interested, but I always ask it because it sort of sets the tone, doesn't it? Let's start with the main event what most people will perceive of the last couple of weeks, which is the Fury return. Makhmudov beating him on points. Paul, when you look at the performance from Tyson Fury, what did you take away from it?
I thought he was good, and I'm hoping it's not just me because I've said I've seen him fading in the past. I thought he was really good. I thought he boxed well. Considering he's been out the ring for 16 months, 12 rounds at the pace he set as well, I was impressed, and I'm happy that he's changed my narrative on him, where I thought a lot of these heavyweights fighters in general, carry on a bit too long and past it. I think he showed very good signs of still having it. Listen, Makhmudov we knew was limited for someone like Fury. Yeah. But I thought he looked really good against him and boxed well.
Well, it's interesting because last week we had Johnny Nelson giving us a different view on what he thought Tyson Fury would look like. Let's listen to Johnny and then we can come off the back of that.
And his legs, we want to see if he's still got them.
But why wouldn't he have it, Johnny? I mean, did we see anything in the Usyk fight besides the fact that Usyk was technically a better opposition than he's been in against? Did we see anything in that fight that gave us cause to believe that Tyson Fury isn't still at a level that would sail past the Makhmudovs of the world?
Well, for me, in my eyes, a lot of times you saw Tyson falling back on his heels. A lot of times you saw Tyson. I thought, your legs are no longer there. Your boxing IQ has got you through the 12 rounds both times and up against an amazing fight, which shows how technically outstanding you are. But your legs have gone. They're not there. The legs what you had have gone. His dad was spot on. And now you look at his fight. Look, when he's falling back on his heels, look at how he's moving around the ring. You know, and you just look at his last 3 fights. Look at his footwork. You see for yourself. You don't need his own man to tell you.
Spence, bearing that in mind, and obviously you've got to factor in the opposition that Johnny Nelson was pitching this conversation against, where he's been asked to work at a level against Usyk and others that he wouldn't have to work against Makhmudov. Yeah. Did Fury, in his performance, answer the questions in effect that Johnny Nelson was potentially alerting us to in terms of the demise of Fury?
Well, I think there's an obvious demise there. You can't deny that. Like, you know, I think that he was getting hit by a very one-dimensional fighter in Arslan Makhmudov, who, let's have it right, is a fringe, not even a fringe, world-class operator. You know, he's found his level. When he steps up in level, he gets beat convincingly. He hung in there with Tyson Fury. I understand the ring rust thing, and we did see glimpses of brilliance from Tyson Fury, but that's what it is. But he has now become more hittable, and that is a concern for the younger heavyweights coming through.
Josh, I mean, Fury's back. People have various reactions to Tyson Fury. He brings something to the ring. He brings something to the boxing environment. He talks about making boxing great again. I think boxing's doing pretty fucking well on its own volition. But when you look at the Fury return, what do you take away from it?
Yeah, sort of similar to what Spence says. I thought glimpses were very good.
Yeah.
I thought glimpses
such as what,
were
mate?
really
What
good.
sort of glimpses?
Just like his movement was quite good. His punches and that were good. But again, there was bits that I thought there was he was getting caught with shots and clipped on the end of shots that he would have seen coming 2-3 years ago.
Is that ring rust? Can that be
it's maybe a little bit of that, and maybe just a little bit of the age as well. And maybe a little bit of the war's catching up with him, you know, with the Deontay ones. But,
that's what's hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
When someone's had a bit of a long time out and they're coming towards the end, it's hard to differentiate whether it's ring rust or whether it's age.
Yeah, I just thought he got caught at the end of the on the ropes and stuff. He was sitting on the ropes, but he was getting caught with some shots at the end and stuff. Not quite got the same kind of reactions, but having said that, I still thought he boxed okay. I still thought he boxed quite good, you know.
Did you expect more from Makhmudov, Josh? Did you think he was going to bring more than what he brought? I mean, because to me, I know it's not my position to say it, but I'll say it and you guys can smack it away if you want. It felt like a bit of a glorified sparring session.
Yeah, well, that's what I kind of thought it looked like as well. But no, I didn't expect much more from him as well, you know, because you see him, he's that typical Eastern European style, but quite stiff and rigid. Needs you to kind of stand still to hit you, and that's one thing that Fury doesn't do, which is move around and use his feet, and he did do that. So, yeah, no, I didn't really expect much more from him, to be fair, but I did think Fury looked okay. But again, what I said, I think little bits of I'm fading and sliding a little bit, but that might be due to the inactivity as well.
Yeah. I think stylistically, Makhmudov was put there to make Fury look brilliant because he's a little bit one-dimensional. He's very strong, comes forward, but we know Fury, one of his main assets is his reflexes, the way he comes back, that long jab, flicking in the right hands. Like I say, we did see glimpses of that, but not enough. And Makhmudov was actually catching and coming in as well. So you just go like, you can see the signs of wear and tear on Tyson Fury. And yeah, you take ring rust into consideration, but also you wouldn't be getting caught with those shots, you know, as the rounds were going on. And Tyson Fury would.
What is better for us to have seen? Because at times during that fight, Tyson displayed a very wide range of skills and the clever level that he's at, right? Would it have been better? Would we have been sat here waxing lyrical if it had got Makhmudov out in 2 or 3 rounds, or in a round or a couple of rounds? Or do we learn more about what Fury is or isn't by him going 12 rounds, doing it at his pace, maybe taking some shots that we think he shouldn't have taken or perhaps wouldn't have taken in the past? Do we learn more from the Fury re-emergence, renaissance by having 12 rounds, or would we be going, actually, he should have got them out there earlier?
No, I think what we learned was that Tyson Fury is now, you know, there is that decline there, and that's become evident because I think that otherwise the ring rust is there for 2 or 3 rounds, but he'll be dominant. The movement will still be there. The timing might be out, but he'll still have that movement, reflexes, and the shots.
See there?
But we learned.
I also think a little bit of it is he maybe never had the fear factor in terms of the level of opponent. So he's maybe never had that fear factor. He's maybe said, this guy's not got anything that really needs to make me worry. So maybe that's why he wasn't as sharp, you know, but he's maybe not had that fear factor, which can make a big difference.
I
agree with you, and I disagree with you. I got a lot of positives from watching that because I was probably being a bit negative and a bit pessimistic when he was going into the ring, thinking I don't think it's there anymore. But he showed me a lot of positives, and I think the 12 round. One thing you have to remember as well is, if this Joshua fight is to happen, which we'll get to next, I'm sure, who would you be more confident of in the fight, not to win, but to do 12 rounds at a good pace? You're probably going to lean towards Fury, especially after seeing that now, after that layoff. And that, for me, is what makes that fight very, very interesting and all the more reason why we should want to see it.
One of the talking parts, and it's being badged as one of the most entertaining parts, I don't think it was, I thought it was a load of old tosh, was the interaction between Tyson Fury calling out Anthony Joshua and seemingly doing it at the behest of Turki Al-Sheikh. Frank was in the ring, Tyson was doing his bit, Anthony Joshua wasn't getting involved too much, Eddie Hearn wasn't getting involved too much. What did you make, Spence, given that you are prima facie our little PR representation of Anthony Joshua, of Anthony's just disengagement to some extent?
Don't feed him, mate. But what did I make of it? So I was watching the watch-along on Saturday night. We didn't have the volume. It
would have been planned though, Spence, wouldn't it?
We didn't have the volume. And I'm going, come on, Josh, do something. Respond to him, mate. Don't do that, because you could see it all going on. But then when I heard the words that were going on, I think he played it exactly right. Like, listen, I'm not getting involved in it. I'm not getting involved in this.
I agree.
Like, you're calling me out. It's all been set up here. It's like a WWE stunt. Like, come on, let's make the fight. Like, it was all like... And Anthony just was going, no, I'll do it on my terms, mate. I know where I'm going. I know what my roadmap is. I'm not going to stand up here now, so I'm going to put myself in a position where the fight is going to get made because I've made myself look like an idiot. So I thought that Joshua played it absolutely perfect.
What I took from it was the fight's not signed yet. It's not agreed. I'm not getting in the ring to announce something that isn't done, because if it's agreed, basically, in theory, in the ring, and the public think it's on, and all of a sudden, well, you're not paying me exactly what a deserved demand or want for the fight. So there's a lot of negotiations to be done just before that can be announced. And I thought Joshua played it great, just sitting there, look, you're not getting me. And Eddie stayed with him as well, to be fair.
The PR stuff, that's what it was, though. Joshua actually got involved in that verbal argument, and then all of a sudden the fight is agreed because it's been done.
But they must have known.
I think that he played it well.
I think so too. I think he didn't want to dance. I mean, you've been in big fights, Regis Prograis, Ramirez, Lopez, and if you were in that situation, Josh, would you have been pushed and pulled around by somebody calling you out? Would you have responded to it, or you sat back and gone, hey, excuse me?
Just depends. Like, if I'm sitting there watching it, you know, and I'm trying to get a fight, then you never know, you might sort of lean into it. You might lean into it and respond to it. But I think it's different with Joshua. He knows he's in a strong position commercially, and the kind of pull that he has to the game and all that. So he doesn't have to do that. So I think he played it the best, card he did, yeah.
Business-wise, he's kept calm. Personally, you'd have jumped in the ring and been fighting with him because we know what you like.
Yeah, personally, I'd have jumped in. Old Hank would have probably jumped in, but, you know, it's like, at the same time, like, you're thinking, it's not my night, it's his night. You know, it's like, enjoy your night, and then we'll speak to it later.
Inevitably, Tyson Fury would have had his own unique take on Anthony Joshua's refusal to engage. Let's have a listen to what Tyson had to say about that.
If just say he did fight Wilder, and Wilder's finished anyway, but just say Wilder detonated on him, does anyone want to see me and Wilder again? Because God knows I don't. I'm not interested. Do you know what I mean? It is what it is. Let's get the fight on, or let's not. Here's the thing. If it ain't Anthony Joshua next, I'm not interested in boxing. I'll eat 1,000 Easter eggs, go up to 35 stone, I'm out. I'm not interested. It's either him or I'm gone again. I'm not interested at all. I'm not interested in up-and-comers. I'm not interested in someone trying to prove a point over me. I don't care. I don't care about rankings. I don't care about belts. I only care now about AJ, that fight. That's the defining fight for British boxing. You know, it's either going to happen or it's not. And it's not what Frank wants to hear. It's not what Spence wants to hear either.
I think the fight will 100% happen this year.
There we go.
How do I describe that? What a load of old bollocks. How many times have we heard him say, I'm only coming back because I'm not going to come back, it's a young man's game. I'm going to come back and I'm going to win a world title. I want Usyk. Now, because the narrative is that he wants to push Joshua into a fight when he wants him, like he tried to 2 or 3 years ago when Joshua wasn't ready to fight. He called him out when Joshua, I'll fight you in October, November, and we were like, well, he's not had any prep for it. Do you believe, Spence, in the riddle me this, riddle me that mentality of Tyson Fury, that this is it? If I don't fight Anthony Joshua, I'm done. I thought he was coming back because he wanted to win a world title.
No, but I do, because I think that what Tyson Fury may have recognised in that fight, and I think that's what we all know now, is that he's looked at it and he goes, that is the only fight left for me out there now, because you've got the younger guys coming through. You don't want to mix it up with that.
What about three-time heavyweight champion of the world?
What, with Alexander Usyk?
However he gets it.
Yeah, no, but what I'm saying is...
Fabio Wardley versus Daniel Dubois fucking
Yeah, no, but what's the biggest fight for him out there financially?
Money-wise?
Yeah, absolutely. Anthony Joshua. So... He recognises now. He wants to do that fight now.
But he's a fighting man.
Yeah,
not a bank manager.
Joshua's roadmap is Deontay Wilder next, and then he'll take Tyson Fury if Fury's still around and wants to do that. Fury obviously is trying to force him into this fight now, but Joshua doesn't know where he's at, whether he's even going to box again. We still don't know that yet.
Yeah, he's still recovering from that horrific accident. You know, mentally as well, being involved in that, losing his friends and that too. You know, so it's that's a massive, massive event in his life that's happened. You know, there's more important things in life than a boxing match when you've got things like as drastic as that have happened in your life.
But Josh, he's putting himself in the way of it because he's popping up at boxing rings knowing full well there's going to be a contest.
But you still got to keep yourself involved at some degree, you know. But again, it's, you know, it's the ball's in Josh's court, I reckon, because it's like have a little fight back after that sort of traumatic experience, and then get back in, get back into the big fight.
Can I play devil's advocate on it? Of course. In Joshua's eyes and in Eddie Hearn's eyes sitting ringside, well, if you didn't retire, this fight would have happened already, but you retired and then you're coming back, you're retired and coming back. Yeah. If he'd have just stayed in, the fight would have probably happened by now, and we'd have all got
Which
to
is
see
what AJ said, didn't he, to some extent?
Yeah. And then
I've chased you for 10 years, right? Not on your terms, it's not on your terms, not when you feel like it. Let's have a listen to Frank and Eddie talking about the ongoing negotiations.
Tyson has signed up for this fight. He signed up for the fight at Spurs, which he had, and the next fight's supposed to be against AJ in August, September. That's what he signed for. He has signed up for it. AJ, we were led to believe, has also signed up or was about to sign up for the fight, and he hasn't done so. So really what it's down to, does AJ, one, want to continue fighting? I'm told that he does. 2, does he want to do the fight now, or does he want to go for a fight in between? That's really what it's at. But that's not what Tyson signed up for. Tyson signed up for that fight to take place immediately after this one.
So, like, how many times have we been here before? How many times have we talked about the fight? How many times is years and years? And it's never happened. So I think he's like, look, it's your night. I'm here. Of course, if we can get the fight done, we're extremely confident, and we'll deal with you when it happens. But until I see you across the ring, it's all hype.
AJ called him the landlord in there. Is he just sick of the years of back and forth at this point?
Because he wants to call the shots, Fury. He always has done. And that's why the fight never happened. So AJ's just saying, look, you need me, you're calling me, and you'll get me. Yeah, the fight, very confident the fight will happen. But at the moment, nothing signed.
Who runs the sport? Broadcasters. You've got Netflix putting out a tweet saying this fight is done for autumn, right? We know that DAZN, I've had conversations with DAZN where they've got a very strong attitude about what fighters will do in press conferences and how the fighters will, play certain roles now. In the past, perhaps they wouldn't do certain things. So the broadcasters are putting the money up now. Mm-hmm. If Netflix are saying this fight's happening in the autumn, and yet Frank and Eddie are saying nothing's been signed yet, we must lead ourselves to the conclusion this is a done deal. Besides all the posturing of when it's going to happen or whether Anthony Joshua is in the box seat about how it happens, despite the contradiction in terms between the promoters that are not actually involved in the broadcast deal, if it's Netflix doing it, then both Tyson and AJ step out of their contractual relationships with Queensberry and Matchroom and have a different dynamic because they're doing it with a different broadcaster. Because obviously Matchroom are with DAZN, Queensberry of DAZN. If this is a Netflix fight, then it's a completely different deal because both of those two fighters are outside of their broadcasting deal with those stables, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, that conversation is definitely going to have been had, isn't it? But I just don't see AJ going into that fight next under the circumstances he's been in. I do think that Deontay Wilder fight will become before that, and that might be the spanner in the works. As much as they're all saying that, I think that from Anthony Joshua's side, he's sitting there going, do I still want to fight? He's got a lot of shit he's going through right now. Definitely. And that will be the last
But he
thing.
said himself, didn't he?
Yeah.
Anthony was the one that put out the digital release in his own time, without any pressure from anybody, because he's his own man, saying that he was going to fight again. You're suggesting Deontay Wilder. Obviously, his last 3 opponents have been Daniel Dubois, Jake Paul, and Otto Wallin.
Yeah.
And obviously Otto Wallin was part of the rebuild. The Daniel Dubois flattened. Jake Paul, that tells us nothing. He cannot go, can he, Paul, into his first fight back being Fury. He has to have a middle fight. And do you agree with Spencer that it's going to be my mate Deontay Wilder?
I don't mean this in any nasty or disrespectful way, but after watching Wilder, you could consider that as a warm-up fight now, in my opinion, for Joshua.
But that's the ideal fight.
Hopefully, I said this on the last show, hopefully if AJ has what we think he has left, and he's still got something, and the fundamentals, and he's still got the desire, and he'll always have the fitness and the power, then that should be a relatively straightforward fight to then bounce into the Fury fight at the end of the year. And I think that would be the best way. I wouldn't jump in with Fury straight away if I was Joshua after this.
What's with that filming? Well, with Anthony, I know that we're scrutinising the ins and outs of his arsehole at the moment, but what was that idea of him sitting there filming the Fury fight? What was that about?
I really don't know. Couldn't give you the answer, mate. No? If I'm honest, no.
Nothing I can gain from the boxing intelligence across the room, given I know fuck all?
Absolutely zero. I can't help you.
Okay. The only thing I could say is it's to get a little bit of an angle, but it's like you've got all the cameras around anyway, so you've got to see the fight anyway. So I don't know what it was about.
My kids asked me on the night, why is he doing that? I said, probably just watching it from one side, face rather than the TV where you miss things and the angle changes. He's probably just, but listen, as well, a lot of the people sitting ringside know there's cameras on them and also it's building up in it.
Do you, in your mind's eye, Paul, if you were to put some money down on the table, which is something Spencer never does, would you back the idea that you're going to see Fury versus Joshua in the next 12 months?
I was confident that this would have happened 5 years ago. I was confident that it would always be a fight that we'd see and one that we deserved, going right back to the likes of Lewis and Bruno. You want to see your two big heavyweights fighting against each other. I think it will happen because there's too much money in it to not happen, but should anything happen in the meantime with either of them losing, it definitely won't happen, and that's what I was thinking the other night with this. There was no way Makhmudov was going to win, but just in case, it's a tricky fight, but in the end, it was great matchmaking money.
The Wilder fight is the safest option with Anthony Joshua. The decline of Deontay Wilder.
We never thought we'd say that,
but but I think that would be the reasons behind it. Like Anthony Joshua will want that fight because you go like, that's going to be the legacy fight, and it like 20 years on, people are going to remember Fury Joshua when it happens, even though they're past the sell-by
I think it's a bit of a catch-22 though, because the longer it's going, the more and more people are just going, I'm not interested. It's been going on for too long. It has to happen now. It's been going on for 5, 10 years. It's got to happen now, or it's like it's going to lose its power. I think lose its pull.
When Deontay Wilder's back in the UK, signed to fight Anthony Joshua, you won't have a problem, you snivelling little shithouse, to tell him that he's an underdog and he'll get beaten by Anthony Joshua. You won't have a problem, will you?
Absolutely, and I'll bet you.
Because I will make sure, if I'm in the room, that I do tell him that, and I'll play him all the outclips.
And what I'll tell him is, I'll say, listen, I bet Simon Jordan's house on it that you get knocked spark out by Anthony Joshua. There you go.
Before we close off this section, I just want to bring a conversation I had earlier on another show with Jim White. Rico van Herven, the kickboxer, was in the studio with myself and Jim talking about his fight with Usyk. Have a listen to this.
If you want to tell us in as much or as little detail as you're going to, from the first bell, what are you going to do?
Knock his head off. That's what I'm going to do. I'm, like I said, I'm like 55 pounds heavier. Yeah. So as soon as I hit him, it's going to be something different.
You're going to knock his head off?
Of course.
I think he's only been knocked down once. He's never been knocked, and that was a low blow. He's never been knocked down. You're going to have to go some, Rico.
Oh, what an opportunity I have here. I'm going to shock the world in front of the pyramids in this crazy scene. It's like, oh my God, I love it. That's why I'm so excited.
I mean, tell me about your punch power. What is your knockout capacity? I mean, you can see Usyk in front of you.
I'm always like very calculated, but yeah, when I connect, I connect. Like I said, there's a lot of weight behind these punches.
Finish it off for me, Rico. In a sentence, what are we going to see from you in the pyramids of Egypt that night?
History will be made, and after that, I will be back, staring Simon down in the face. I told you so. And then he's going to tell me in my face, Rico, you were right. I'm sorry. We're going to shake hands. We're going to have fun. We're going to have a drink afterwards.
You are a star. No doubt you're a star. Absolutely. Full of charisma.
Thank you so much for joining us. And not only that, not only are you going to beat him, you're going to knock him out, you're telling me.
100%.
He was very impressive, Josh. I mean, I said to him, I didn't think there was a crossover opportunity here for him. I thought that he's wonderful dominating his own discipline, but this was a whole different ball game. But he was not just bullshit confident, there was this real inherited belief. I'm surprised we got him on because Peter Fury cried last time I criticised him, so I was surprised we actually had him on. But he was there. Do you give him any chance in this fight? Any chance? We saw what Ngannou did to Tyson Fury, then we saw what actually Joshua did to Ngannou.
Well, that's the point I was going to make. You can't give him no chance because he's still a fighter at the end of the day. And what I think makes it intriguing with these kickboxers and stuff like that, and I've got experience of it myself. I was a taekwondo martial artist before I did boxing.
Yeah, I saw that,
But then, obviously, developing in boxing, that kind of leaves you a little bit. But when I started, I was punching from all different angles that boxers aren't used to seeing.
That's what he was saying.
Yeah.
He was saying the big thing is that Usyk, despite the fact that Usyk is a rare breed that can adapt to most things, he was saying that he won't have an understanding of the angles that I present because I come from a different position. But he can't
so
kick
that's
anybody.
what I was saying. Like once I forgot about the taekwondo stuff, and I ended up sparring with a sort of kickboxer again who was coming into boxing, and again he was hitting me with the sort of up shots and weird angles and throwing punches from.
But you could adjust that. But you would adjust it though.
I took me a couple of sessions to get back to it again. It's like, this is how these guys do it. You know, they throw from different angles and stuff, all very unorthodox that are just alien to boxing. Come from this way and all that, and over the top, but they throw it a completely different way. So that can be a thorn in the side, you know, and it can throw you off because it could definitely cause an upset, you know. I wouldn't write it off. I wouldn't write it off, you know. No, I wouldn't
Sometimes the worse someone is, the more worse and awkward they are, the more you're going to get caught off.
Yeah. But this will be a massive kick in the arse for the heavyweights. I mean, I sort of said to Rico, the reasons why I object to the fight is what's been badged at. I don't think you should be getting a shot at the WBC belt in front of Ajit Kabayel that's been waiting for 18 months. I think that's bullshit. I think that's unfair. These guys are trying to make a living. You've made a nice one in your sport and you're crossing over. But notwithstanding that, I mean, he was so confident. And when you listen to the guy, it's actually, we've sat here and we've gone, nah. And Josh has given it a different perspective. He talked about different angles. I have to say, despite my bullshit, I'm actually quite intrigued on it now because he's But I don't mean massive, like, you know, out of condition massive. He's 19.5 stone, walks around at 19.5 stone, which is 50 pounds bigger than Usyk. We know that Usyk doesn't worry about other people's weights because he's been in with big uns and has got used to it now. But this guy feels like a different kind of problem.
But that's the story, isn't it, Simon? We're just talking about the WBC and their stance on allowing the fight to happen when the guy's not a boxer. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But the rumoured stories coming from the gym is that Verhoeven can fight. He's decent. You know, they've all sparred him. Yeah. He holds his own with it, and he's dangerous.
He said that.
Absolutely.
We had that with Fury and Ngannou.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
But
then we had AJ, and
that?
we had Anthony go in with Ngannou. Boom. Thank you very much. Call again.
Yeah, so I don't know why there's an objection here when it's been done before.
Well, the only objection, before we close the section off, is that...
It's for the title.
It shouldn't be for the title.
Yeah, that's the only
kind
of sort of gripe. Yeah, it shouldn't be for the title, but it is what it is, and money talks, I suppose.
Indeed it does. Your new best mate, Conor Benn, Spencer, signed with Zuffa. I mean, it was interesting that Frank Smith was talking about, if you think that's a one-fight deal, if you think they're paying him $15 million for one fight, fucking grow up. There's more to it attached than that. But we'll see that pan out over a period of time. Unanimous points decision. We can get into the mechanics of it, and I'll do some of that with Josh in a moment, because he's obviously been in with Regis Prograis.
Yeah.
What did you make of Conor's performance?
What did I make of Conor's performance? That he's not a world-class fighter at 147 or at 154. I think that become evident. We've got Regis Prograis there that's got an injured jaw, an injured hand, an injured foot, an injured knee. Yeah. He's talked about pulling out the fight on Friday night itself. He was shit scared going into the ring, and Conor Benn couldn't get rid of him, and actually had quite a tough night with him. I know it was 98, 90, 92, and Conor was winning the rounds, but it was competitive. And I think that what we found out there is that Conor doesn't hold the power down at that low weight. Since he's there, he looked drawn at the weigh-in and the week before. Yeah. And I think it become evident. Let's be honest about it, guys. Yeah. He's not a world-class fighter. And I think that is what become very, very evident there against a very, very shell of his former self fighter in Regis Prograis.
Me watching on the night, I tweeted as it was happening, the longer this goes, the worse it's going to look for Ben, because he should be dealing... If he's got any power in him, what he thinks he has, he should be dealing with Prograis. Now, you'll both understand this. When you get up to them levels, I've boxed someone at the very top level. I didn't beat him at the very top level. I've boxed a couple of world champions. Same with yourselves. You've been undisputed champion. You've been European champion. You know the levels you go up. British power is not the same as the power at the top level. No. Toughness isn't the same as at the top level. There's levels, not just to boxing.
The crispness of the shots.
Exactly.
And stuff like
there's
that.
levels to power. There's levels to toughness. And I hear Ben saying he was so tough and durable, Prograis. Jack Catton had him over. He didn't look durable to me. He looked like a dead man walking from the first round when his legs were going. So for me, the more the fight went on, the more it highlighted that Ben's been matched really well, marketed really well. He's probably been the best looked after fight in the country, because achievement-wise and everything else with performances, it's just not there to what he thinks it is. But on the other hand, the kid's made 20-odd million quid and I mean, a massive success and fair play to him. So we have to keep looking at that side, because I think that side, unfortunately, the names he's calling out, I just can't see him holding his own with them.
Let me come back to you in a second, Spence. Listen to Paulie Malignaggi had some things to say about the fight and Conor Benn. Listen to him.
Paulie, did you catch the Conor Benn fight? Did you catch the co-main event?
I did. You know what, guys? I'm done. I'm done with it. This guy's horrible. This guy's terrible. I don't mind watching Conor Benn. Like I don't mind him getting the fanfare. He's an okay fighter. Just don't start mentioning him at world-class levels. Then you start crossing the line. Because he's not your Jake Paul either. So it's not like I'm throwing him all the way on the other side. I'm not doing that. I'm being a very honest person here. He's an okay fighter. Okay, but don't start mentioning him with these world-class situations, the world-class fighters. He talks about Shakur Stevenson and all this other stuff. This name belongs nowhere near those guys, okay? For the fanfare, okay, I get it. People start talking about him. He's got a lot of popularity, and I understand that's going to happen. But don't start mentioning him boxing-wise with these guys. All of a sudden, right away, we start seeing tweets and Instagrams about this Shakur Stevenson fight and everybody. Shakur Stevenson would beat him with one hand. I would beat him right now. I would beat him, okay?
Right, you can come in off a long run-up if you want to, Josh. I mean, I think you were outspoken about this as well. What's your takeaway of Conor Benn and his performance in that fight, and Conor Benn full stop?
Yeah, I just like, I mean, he's fit and strong and durable and tough, but like, I think he's very limited in boxing ability. But again, he's been marketed really, really well. He's been a promoter's dream, you know.
Best match fighter, according to Dave Allen, was the
terminology. He's been matched really perfectly well, you know. But and fair play to him going to Zuffa and getting the money. And fair play, you know. If I was in his position, I'd do the same thing. You know, he's got to make hay while the sun's shining, as the old saying goes. But again, I just don't think that he's a world-class fighter. I think he's sort of British level.
British
fringe European sort of level,
Right.
you know. I think there's guys in the UK that would take him out, you know. But it is what it is, basically.
We saw Devon Haney, Shakur Stevenson, and Ryan Garcia all seem to be having that fight. Is that them at it because they quite fancy a bit of the Conor Benn financial train? Do you think?
Yeah, possibly, and maybe a sort of like a meal ticket sort of thing, you know. I don't think Conor's boxing skills. I don't think is very great. You know, he's been dropped a couple of times with much less opponents and stuff. He's now beginning to get into these fighters that are going to be world level and world champions. He's not going to get away with any of that. You know, he really sort of couldn't put an old Prograis away after dropping him and all that as well. So these elite fighters are going to deal with him no problem, I reckon.
Switching off Conor for a second and going on to Shakur Stevenson, given the fact that Shakur Stevenson fought Teofimo Lopez and beat him quite convincingly, what's your take on Shakur Stevenson?
I think he's a sharpshooter. I think he's very good. You know, he's very patient. He's got all the same kind of attributes as what Crawford kind of had. You know, he's obviously in the school, the same gym as him, so he's learnt a lot of them and the kind of tricks and the way he fights. So I think he's very cute and I think he's very sharp. You know, I think the only thing that would be sort of a concern with me would maybe the sort of strength side of it and the punching power side of it. But apart from that, I don't think he has any problem. I think he's got the brains and the IQ and the.
Would you have liked to fight him?
Smooth. I would have loved to fight him. Yeah, I'd have loved to fight anyone. You know, but ask any fighter that. Ask Paul that. Would you have thought that? Of course you would.
But I mean, stylistically, I mean, not necessarily.
Yeah, I think you know, I would have loved to have fought him. I think it'd have been a very tricky fight. Don't get me wrong. You know, it'd have been a very, very tough fight for him. But yeah, I'd have loved to have fought him. Yeah, why not?
Let's have a listen to Regis Prograis himself talking after the fight.
The rumors and stuff about me being hurt, you know, that was true. But I was terrified. I didn't know what was gonna hold up. And but my son is right here. I told him, like, when you're scared of something, go through it. You have to go through it when you're terrified of something. And I'm not gonna lie, bro, I wanted to pull out this fight so bad. Like a month ago, I wanted to pull out this fight, but I didn't. And I kept pushing. And I was so terrified. Even today, I was thinking about, you know, pulling out today, the day of the fight. Even yesterday, I was thinking about pulling out, but I went through with it, and I'm so glad that I went through with this fight.
What was the injury?
Honestly, in camp, I had about 4 injuries. My right hand was messed up. I had an eye injury. My jaw, I had a rib injury. That's 4 right there. And I had a bunch of things, you know. So it was rumors. I know who started the rumors too. Yeah. This man right here spread all my rumors around. But it's fine. Look, but it held up. I'm not gonna lie, man. Like nothing I was scared of happened in the ring. Like all my injuries, literally nothing showed up in the ring at all. Tonight, no injuries at all. I had to worry about nothing.
Josh, you had a brilliant fight with him in 2019.
Yeah.
How much did you recognise of him in the fight against Conor Benn, against the opponent that you faced?
I just thought it was a shell of the opponent that I faced by a long, long way. You know, it's like I don't think he's been the same fighter for a long time. You know, like the last 3 or 4 fights of his has not been great at all. Like really not great.
Good opposition though. He's been in with good opposition as well though.
Yeah, he's been in with good opposition, but I just don't think his level and his sharpness and how he was when I boxed him he was just nowhere near it. He was his head movement, his slickness, his feet and all that. But it was all gone. It was all gone. It was just standing there and trying to throw a big shot, and he was kind of a moving punch bag really. You know, although he never took a lot of big shots, but he was kind of just like a moving target, really.
Do you think it's fair to say that fight you had with Regis Prograis, one of the best fights I've actually been at ringside, technically, what you both went through, what you both left in the ring, do you think it's fair to say that took a little something out of both of you off the back of that fight? Because when you go through your careers, I don't think that was the peak for both of you there.
Yeah, definitely. Like, we were both unified champions going into that fight, and, you know, we were both at our peaks then, you know, like just arriving at our peaks, and we fought each other. He was pound for pound number 6 in the world or something, you know. I was sort of a world champion as well, and then we fought each other when we were both flying, you know, at our best, and it ended up turning out to be a really high skilled box/fight. You know, it was really high skilled boxing, but also a dog fight as well at bits, and it certainly took a little bit of me, because after that fight, my eye was like a balloon and stuff, you know, and that's when I started having all the problems with my eyes for the rest of my career and stuff. So it certainly did take a little bit of shelf life off me, you know. But
it was a hell of a performance.
The fight was good, but also I think I don't think it's so much the fights that take it out of you. I think it's the training camps and the sparring, the amount of rounds and the sparring and that you do in the gym as well. But I think that's what happens with a lot of fighters in gyms.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit more about you and your career, because I always felt, and I felt this, I said it before, that you never got the cachet you should have gotten, the recognition you should have got. But we'll talk about that later. Let's listen to Conor talking afterwards on social media about his worldview.
Yeah. Garcia, I want my belt. Keep my belt warm. September, let's go. Any day of the week, twice on Sundays. 10 rounds easy. Garcia, you're next. Keep my belt warm.
Paul, I mean, I know we asked this question and go around in circles with it, but I'm going to ask you again just for the sake of continuity. Is there a possibility in your mind's eye that Conor Benn is matched so well that it becomes a world title for him?
Not now, Garcia, no. We all thought with Barrios maybe, or a different weight maybe, but I can't see it. I don't want to be one of them people just kicking Conor Benn, to be honest with you. Like, I'm not slagging him off. We said before, British, fringe European level. That's not a bad level at all for someone like him who come through. We all did the amateur experience, amateur way. He had no amateur career. A lot of the fighters out there now all were very, very good amateurs. I think Garcia boxed Haney. They all boxed each other, didn't he? Lopez and others amateurs. All top amateurs, all going around the internationals. He never had any of that. He's come through basically on the back of his dad's name, and he's earned his own way and paid his own way, and he's made an absolute fortune in boxing, so credit to him. But ability-wise and levels-wise, Saturday night showed me a lot of, and confirmed to me what I already believed already.
Where do you think you should go, Josh? I mean, there's a lot of noise about, well, he's making the noise about 147. And once upon a time when he had the opportunity to fight Barrios, I think that was an opportunity he could have taken. He could have taken it earlier than fighting Eubank for the world, for his fights for the money, and probably beaten Barrios. Would you put him at 147 where Lewis Crocker weights him, Rolly Romero weights him, Ryan Garcia weights him? Would you stick him at 154 where Josh Kelly awaits him, Boots Ennis awaits him? Where would you suggest?
Do you know what? As a manager, it's kind of tricky. It's kind of you're in a great place because it don't matter where you go, you're going to earn good money. But in terms of if you want to get them to that world title and stuff like that, it's like every one of the fights are hard, and I think every one of them fights he loses. You know, all them names that you just mentioned, I think every single one of them beat him, and they beat him comfortable. So it's quite a hard. As a manager, where do you take him? If you cash in, get a few quid. If it was me, give me the money, give me a few quid, and then right, see you later. I'm never going to be able to champion.
If you were still around, Josh, and fighting, and you'd got offered a fight at 150, given that Regis Prograis, highest weight he's ever fought at 142, you fought at 140, would you have jumped up to 150 and fought Conor Benn?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I'll fight him now at 150. If they want to give me 3 weeks, 10 weeks notice, 12 weeks notice, I'll fight him now. I'll take it.
Spence, I just wanted to ask you about the news that CBS, Chris William-Smith has joined Zuffa. Obviously, we've got Riakporhe in there. We've seen an opponent of CBS's Brandon Clanton fight Riakporhe, which in no way can be badged as the best versus the best. What do you think of that as a move for Chris and for Zuffa, and ultimately it's going to go on Sky as well, isn't it? Well, I think and for CBS, of course.
I think for Chris at this stage of his career, it's probably a good move because it's probably a financial move. You know, you mentioned there Brandon Clanton, who's just put a tweet out saying let's rerun things again. You've got the Riakporhe fight there, and they could go over ground. So look, for Chris William-Smith, I think it's about cashing in now. You know, he's done it. He's been there, seen it, got the T-shirt, been world champion. Now let me draw some big money in, and if that's with Zuffa Boxing, then I think it's a good move.
We've literally just been talking about the opposite with Conor Benn. I was going to say in defence of Conor Benn, there's better fighters than Conor Benn that didn't win a world title. So if he retires and he makes all that money what he's made, unbelievable career. Chris William-Smith's been world champion now. He's probably thinking, just get me as much money as I can now. He's reached the top of the mountain. You know what the feeling's like. I've done all that. Just let me get paid now as much as I can possibly get because I'm on the back nine.
Let's move it on to you, Josh. One of the things that I always want to sort of delve into is what it's like when you retire. You know, the lights go down in lots of different sports and you're part of something that's very focused on you, and all of a sudden people's attention switches. How's retirement treating you?
Do you know what, for me, like, I'm all right now. I'm okay now. I'm over that sort of like low. You know, I was in a low. I mean, I spoke to Spencer about a month, two ago. I think we were over in Ireland actually, and I said, you know, I'm really struggling here. I don't know why, because I've achieved more than what I set out to achieve. You know, I achieved my lifetime goal, become world champion, And then I went on and done more, like what I've ever done, become the first ever UK undisputed world champion in the 4-belt era and all that kind of stuff. And I've earned good money.
Which is a remarkable achievement, by the way.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. But I've earned good money, and like I've achieved my lifetime goals beyond my wildest dreams. Yeah. So, but what am I? I'm like depressed. I didn't want to do anything for months. Right. I just didn't want to. I felt like my purpose in life was over. I just felt like there was. All of a sudden I was all over the world. I was doing here, there, everywhere, and going training and boxing everywhere all over the world. To then all of a sudden being stuck at home. All my friends and family and all that, my wife and everyone's all at work. You're just stuck in your house on your own all day, every day. What am I going to do? Like I was just so.
So what's it like now?
I'm all right now. I found a little bit of purpose now. You know, I found a little bit going into the gym and help out with the gym and things like that. I've been doing a little bit of this sort of stuff and going to boxing shows, doing a little bit of punditry here and there. So yeah, it's kind of I'm over that kind of little bit now. And Spencer did say that. Says it'll pass.
Made the adjustment.
Says it will pass, and it has. It's passed now. So.
The highs are so high. And then the lows are so dark and so low. That it's like, you know, you're always trying to chase that high again. I think that's what it is. When you lose your identity as a fighter and you become a normal person, you're trying to chase something that's not there anymore. And
that's what it was like. I kind of lost my identity, and then it was like, I've lost my purpose. What am I going to do now? You know, what am I going to do now? I'm just Josh. You know, it's like,
Natasha Jonas mentioned it, and I don't know whether she made it up, created it. There's a saying, the athlete dies twice. And it made so much sense to me when I heard it. And I said to you before, the night before we come down, we were having a conversation. I said, when you're fighting, you're looking forward to just sitting your ass and do nothing, go to a coffee shop, not have to be anywhere. And then you do that and you realise, this is no good for me. And then you sit there, you sit for too long and you're retired and people are bumping into you. What are you up to now? You're tired.
Yeah, that's exactly what
That's the hard thing to deal with.
I mean, I've passed that little bit stage now, but for the first 6 months, it was tough. And I was like, what am I going to do? There's nowhere around. Everyone's at work and all that.
And you're pretty good at this, mate.
I was going to say,
this is what you should do.
A couple of times I did do this, and it helped, but then it kind of faded a little bit. Right. And boredom, you know, the saying goes, you know, idle hands make work for the devil.
Correct.
You know?
Spencer knows that.
Well, so I was trying to deal with it. I was trying to deal with it with having a drink.
I thought you said the devil opened. Oh, you just fucking have a conversation.
I was trying to deal with it with the boredom and stuff. With trying to have a drink, you know, like. I mean,
you don't want that, do you?
Yeah, and I didn't want to do that. I fell one time in my house and banged my head and had a bit of a sore one, and then come over to Ireland for the Crocker fight, and then we woke up to the news of Ricky Hatton.
Yeah, of course. And that concentrates your mind, doesn't it?
That kind of woke me up a little bit, you know, and I thought.
But you've got a good voice, and look at the experiences and the level that you're at. I think that your voice should be heard more in the media. I also think, by the way, and we'll get onto it slightly as we go through the section, I also think you should have got far more credit, recognition, opportunities than you were given. When you look, then were presented to you, not what you were given, because you were given nothing, you took everything. When you look at the decisions that you made, obviously the last fight was against Echo. Do you look at the step up to welterweight and think, could I have done that? Because there's always this question towards the end when you were fighting with Jack Catterall, is he struggling at the weights? And I remember you coming in the studio with myself and Jeamie, and you were quite calm. A couple of times you were a little bit prickly with me because I talked about Jack Catterall beating you, but that's the fighter mentality. Yeah. But when you look at the step up to welterweight, do you think, could I have taken that earlier?
A little bit of yes and no, because believe it or not, I actually made 140 quite comfortable. You know, I actually made it quite comfortable, and no one seems to believe me, but I actually did. You know, I'm blessed by God, I suppose, with a fast metabolism. Yep. I can go and eat pizzas and all that, and just not put on any weight, and like back down the same weight in the morning.
How'd you do that, mate? What?
I really don't know. I'm just blessed, you know.
Do you know, like metabolism?
You were in the gym with me at Liverpool the last part of my career there, and you saw how much I used to sweat, and I used to make the weight pretty comfortable. Yeah.
But you was one and done at welterweight.
Yeah.
Was it the eye condition that forced you to retire, or would you have carried on if the eye was all right?
If it wasn't the eye, I'd have continued, and my plan would have been to have the rematch with Echo straight away, and then get the third one with Jack. You know, and put that one right, and then. Who knows? But then, where does it end? Then you know, it was the next one, then the next one, and that maybe led to maybe potential, you know, a title fight, or you know,
real fights,
or an interim, a title eliminator. So it's like, where does it end? You know, and it's like,
I think it ended at the right place because
Yeah, I think so.
There was clearly a decline when you look at like the Regis Prograis performance, and then Echo Eckerman. You weigh it all up and you go, you know what? You've come out, you've got your health, and you've got your future, you've got your financial, and you go like you're just trying to find that focus.
Yeah.
And the focus is like,
and the thing is though, that last one we Echo like it, and I Echo fair play, well done, great fighter, strong, but for the first 6-7 rounds it was just so easy, like for me, and he didn't punch very hard at all as well. And I thought, I'm taking everything he's got here, and I just like, this is easy. And then 7-8 come, and he got into it, and I thought, all right, I'm going to have to go again. I'm going to have to switch on, and I couldn't switch on again.
Yeah. We speak a lot of you. Sorry.
He got into the fight, and he took me out my rhythm, and he won the fight. So absolutely fair play. Fair play. I'm not going to take anything away from Echo Eckerman. He's a great fighter, lives a life, and he's strong, and he punches stuff and hard and stuff. But like, I just didn't think he was on my level, and it was quite easy. But that was it, and I thought, when I'm losing to guys like Echo, it's maybe time to go. Yeah. Go from being Undisputed champion to losing it sort of domestic level.
We speak a lot on here, don't we?
Go away now.
We speak a lot about seeing fighters on the decline.
Yeah.
We're at that generation. Our age of fighters, my age of fighters are all at the end now. I'm 43. The fighters coming through that I started with or that were coming through. I remember, I always say the story about yourself. We were in the wild card 2012. How old was you in 2012?
Right. Yeah, I was 21. Yeah.
21, just turned, still amateur, and he's knocking shite out of all these top fighters in sparring, and he's got a Scotland vest on or a GB vest on.
Yeah, that's right.
Still an amateur, and you could tell there and then what you were going to do. But all of a sudden, all that batch of fighters that came through just after me, or at my time, they're all at the end now. They're all on the back now. Fury, everyone. So we're going to be speaking about that because we're fighters, and we're deep down, that's what we do, and we're watching, and that's not the version of him that I saw, and there's no
time waits for no one.
That's exactly normal. That's the normal procedure.
Can I ask you, I mean, I don't want to be bringing up circumstances that you're talking about other fighters, but part of the show does that, so you're going to have to get on with it and see what you make of it. When you look at Jack Catterall, I mean, you went into that fight with Catterall, and you had complete disdain for him. He wasn't on your level. But I remember the pressers. I remember you, and so you should be confident about yourself. But when you look back on the two fights with Jack, and I know we're going to disagree. I think he won the first fight.
Yeah, that's fine. I've no problem with anybody that thinks that he thought he won the first fight. You know, it was a close fight.
When you look back on those two fights, Josh, because you went into that fight as an overwhelming favourite, and all of us thought that Jack Catterall, good fighter, not going to be able to live with you.
Yeah, I thought the same.
Yeah. When you reflect on those two fights, both the first one and the second one, which took a time to get made, second one for a variety of reasons, how do you reflect back on them?
The first one, I thought the backlash from the first one was so uncalled for. You know, like, I generally thought it was a close fight, and I thought it could have went either way. If it had been a draw and he had maybe nicked it, I'd been right, okay, no problem. I didn't think by any stretch that I won it by a mile. I knew it was a close fight, and I knew I had to win the last round in two. You know, but I just thought, the backlash was so severe. It was like, what the f***? You know, like, sorry for my French there, sorry.
We've all done it.
But it's just like, it was so severe, the backlash was unreal. You know, and I kept quiet for months because I was getting so much stick for it. But then after that, it started, the kind of nature of the abuse changed. It changed to then my wife getting it, my little sister getting it, and things like that. And then it started getting like really personal and all that.
That's wrong.
So at that point, that's when I started firing back.
Yeah.
And that's when I started saying, well, putting the middle fingers up, you know, like, and when I'd like to see any man sort of sit there and take it when your family starts getting...
There's no mitigation for that. So, the issue's with you, not with your family. If they've got an issue, full stop.
Yeah, that's when the nature of the sort of...
The response that you gave. I think where people thought that you could, and I don't think you could have done, I think people thought you could have been more magnanimous in the ring after the fight, where you pretty much said, I won the fight. Well, I personally, I think what else is supposed to he's not going to turn around and say, well, he won the fight, is he?
Everyone's like... And I said right after it, and it was a close fight, but I thought I just nicked it.
Yeah.
But the backlash I got was just unprecedented. It was unbelievable.
Social media.
Yeah, it was unbelievable.
How good do you think Catterall can be? Do you think he can win a world title? I mean, he's gone on and beat Echo after you, did it convincingly, albeit at a difficult time in the middle of the fight, but knocked him out, did it very well.
Yeah.
Do you think he can win a world title?
I think he's got the style to win a world championship because he can make it really awkward. You know, like, he is quite awkward and sort of... Like, he's quite awkward to sort of work out. His timing and that's quite awkward. But I just think he's just lacking something. I don't know what it is, but he's lacking something. But yeah, he is a good counter puncher. Sometimes he'll do some work, great work, and then sits back and does all this kind of stuff, and then it kind of cancels it out. But yeah, he is a good fighter. I'm not going to sit here. I know I've got a bit of bad blood with him and all that, but.
But do you think he wins the world title or not?
The right opponent, yes. Yeah. If it gets the right opponent, then yes. Yeah.
When you reflect on your career, Commonwealth gold, undisputed champion, one of those rare beasts that needs to be given all the praise in the world for it. Do you look back with a great deal of pride and for having fulfilled the things that you wanted to fulfill? Yeah,
absolutely. You know, I started out as a scrawny little kid with not too bob to rub together, and you know, like bumping my mum and dad for some money to get to the gym and all that. It's like, you know, it's like to then become a world champion. Well, I knew I was going to become a world champion, so that was kind of just like right next. But then to go on and then it's like, I was like, that's mission complete now, become a world champion. Now the rest was like a bonus. Let's go and see how far I can go now. And then it was like, right, now it's like a unification fight. I won that, and then it was like, oh, I can become undisputed world champion. It's not that far away. Win this one, then the next one, and then next minute undisputed world champion over in Vegas. You know, and the first person to do it, I was just like, wow. You know, and it's not till kind of now that it's all been done and gone. I'm sitting at home, and I'll go, you've done okay, Josh. You know what I mean? You've done all right. You know, like you've
not just be now.
Achieved more than you set out to achieve.
It might not just be now. Fighters don't look back. You're taught not to. You start looking back at what you've done and admiring your achievements and resting on your laurels. You get knocked out. It might be 5 years' time you're sitting there and actually then it dawns on you what I did, like undisputed champion of the world. Magazine.
There's not going to be many of those.
It's a frightening achievement.
Some achievement. That's like, do you know what I mean? Not many people ever do that.
Do you look, without wanting to be a sort of a miserable sod, like some of the Premier League footballers of the 90s and 2000s, where they just missed that new broadcast deal with the revenues. You just on the cusp of the Saudi money coming in.
We're just speaking about that.
Do you think the timing?
All the big money was just before I come.
Do you know what?
And then you told now that I've retired, all the big money's coming back.
Listen, you just told him you'd just come out of depression. He's trying to put you back.
Sorry, lads.
What are you doing?
Sorry, lads. Are you ever tempted? Are you ever tempted to get back in the ring again?
Do you know, I've had this conversation with my wife about 3 or 4 times now. And it's like, shall I go into the gym and get fit in that and have one more? But then I'm like, nah, I've not got the fire anymore. I've not got it in my stomach anymore. Like, I was away, literally away from home for like 20 years, and then I'm kind of enjoying being at home now. You know, I bought my house in 2019. I've only been in it.
You got kids?
Not kids yet, and so that's the focus in that. Now, you know, which is
that'll change your life.
I've not been at home for more than a year, and I've been in that house for 6 years now. You know, and like cumulatively, I've never been in that house for about a year. So now the goal is to enjoy my life a little bit, do things I want to do, and have kids with my wife. You
Absolutely
know?
right.
I start a family, and
then
maybe they can become boxers.
And then they'll be able to.
I'm not letting my kids have going to box.
But then they'll be able to hear about their undisputed champion of the world father, won't they?
That's it. Yeah.
Good luck with that.
Thank you.
Let's move on to Richard Riakporhe's performance on Saturday night, Spence. Knocks out Jeamie TKV. Interesting, because I've always, in every fight that Jeamie TKV's gone in, I expected him to lose. I expected him to acquit himself slightly better in this fight. Were you impressed with Richard's performance or unimpressed by Jeamie's?
I was impressed with Richard's performance. I think he established himself as a problem in the heavyweight division. You know, 16 and a half stone, looked good. The timing was brilliant. The execution of the finish, that right hand, little step back, nailed him. I thought it was good. He showed a lot of confidence in there. He committed himself. Jeamie TKV was... The game is all about levels, and he was just out of his depth. I think, like I say, that was the impressive performance of the night for me. Riakporhe just going, right, let's see what it is. Let's see, like, this is another step up. But he dealt with it. I think he's a problem in the heavyweight
What do you think of the stoppage? I mean, there was some assertions from Andre Ward. I thought his commentary was very good on Saturday night. And David Hay, that there was a potential... I didn't think it was an early stoppage. You know more. Do you think it was?
I felt it was a tad premature, but it was only going to delay the inevitable, and I preferred them a little bit premature than a little bit late. So I've got no complaints about it, to be fair.
We swapped text messages on Saturday night, and I saw Richard in the studio. And of course, I'm very fond of Richard because he's a big Crystal Palace fan. But he calls out Fabio Wardley or Daniel Dubois, and in the next sentence he goes, "If I can't get them, I want Johnny Fisher."
Yeah, I need to have that.
With all due respect to Johnny,
I need to have that conversation with him.
Really?
Yeah, like where are you going from the winner of Wardley Dubois? You go, yeah, I get that. Like he's chasing a dream there, and he might be an opportunity, a little doorway that opens, and then he throws in Johnny Fisher, and you just go like, I nearly fell off the chair at that point. You're going like, where are you going from here? Like, don't want to give him the opportunity. You go, look, I think there's a good fight there for someone like Frazer Clarke, who done magnanimously well on the undercard.
Well, Richard was talking about world title shots when he was on the show with myself and Jim on Monday. And he's ranked, I think, what is he ranked? 12th in the world in the WBO and the IBF. I sort of flew the kite of him fighting someone like David Adelaide, Paul. What do you think is the next test for Richard Riakporhe? I don't think Richard can jump straight into world-level fights with respect to him, despite the fact he carried some significant power into that fight.
I think the perfect fight to make would probably be Frazer.
Frazer?
After that performance.
Yeah. Really?
I know we're going to get to Frazer in a minute. Yeah, honestly.
Really?
Or someone else on that. But I don't think jumping in with Adelaide just yet.
Why? You've
won that. Just wait for a bit, bide your time, have a couple of fights.
Well, he's calling out world title shots.
Yeah, well, if he's got that ambition, then he go Justis Huni's
He's only just moved into the weight.
Justis Huni's the fight.
Okay.
He's come through that one with Frazer. That was a life and death battle.
I know we're going to get to Frazer, otherwise I would have elaborated more on
We'll get into Frazer in a second. Just to clarify on TKV before we wrap this bit up, did he not turn up? Because he makes fights difficult, and we saw him sort of trying to make the fight turn into the style that he wanted, which Richard Riakporhe got sucked into for a couple of rounds and then stepped back and told me himself that he stepped back and went, hang on a second, what I was doing previously is what I should be doing. Is it a case of he didn't turn up, or as you said at the beginning of this conversation, Spence, there's this the level?
No, I think it was just the execution of Richard Riakporhe. I think he went there, like you say, when he started realising that he was turning into Jeamie TKV's fight, he adjusted, he adapted. And a good fighter can adapt through a fight and turn it around and turn it on its head like he did.
And that's
what I say. I think
as well.
I think it was more to do with Richard Riakporhe's performance than Jeamie TKV.
And the power.
His right arm was great.
And the power.
Yeah,
right arm was really good.
Oh,
absolutely.
Beautiful.
But his jab was, in the first round, his jab created a problem straight away for Jeamie. You could almost see straight away, Jeamie was like, I haven't been hit this hard. And he's been in with Adelaide, who hits hard.
Well, it's his third fight at heavyweight, and I think all the other heavyweights that are out there, the ones that are coming through and the ones that maybe at the end, they would have turned their heads and gone, hold a minute.
I heard his interview in the weigh-in and his interview post-fight, he's saying, I'm comfortable at this weight now. I'm not having to eat salads. I'm not having to really boil myself down to cruise it. I'm comfortable. And it all ticked the... I thought, well, you weren't lying.
16.7, like he weighed in at 16.7. You look at him and you go, like, you've just put on a cut of stone there, mate. Like that is of muscle.
Absolutely, and he looks. I mean, I'm turning into a sentimental side. I actually felt a bit sorry for Jeamie TKV because, despite the fact he got a bit sparky with me when he was fighting Frazer Clarke, which he had every right to do, he was so thrilled when he won that British title.
Oh, do you know what? He's a lovely guy, Jeamie TKV.
And now it's gone. And Richard Riakporhe's thrilled. Yeah. Although I couldn't make out what he was doing with his tongue.
No, but that's the nature of the nature of the beast, isn't it? That's what it is.
That's life.
Listen, that's what it is.
That's life.
That's what it is.
We mentioned Justis Huni and Frazer Clarke, split decision. We all like Frazer. We all want Frazer to do well. We've all been concerned about his well-being after the fight against Fabio Wardley and the manner in which he was knocked out. We were all concerned about the performance that he had against Jeamie TKV. Paul, what did you make of Frazer's performance? A much lighter, different-looking Frazer Clarke for this fight.
Better than his previous performances, and I was the one that was calling for him to maybe pack it in and maybe call it a day. And after that, I'd like to see him again. I think he looked safe. He didn't look too out of his depth. It was a good effort, a really game effort. He looked fitter. He looked stronger. And listen, that's why I'm mentioning about Riakporhe. I think I'd like to see Frazer go again in camp for 8 to 10 weeks up in Salford or Moss Side, sorry, and have a good 10, 12-week camp up there and then see whether he can do it again and replicate that performance, because I thought it wasn't a bad performance at all.
I mean, we've seen Frazer switch from Angel Fernandez to Joe Gallagher. We saw Joe Gallagher speaking to him, I was listening to him at ringside. Did you notice, Spence, anything change in Frazer that gave you cause to think there is still an opportunity for a renaissance? There's still stuff here that Frazer's working on that's going to improve and get better?
Absolutely. You can't dismiss what what Joe Gallagher's done with Frazer Clarke. I was up there just a couple of weeks ago in the gym, seeing out the way they were working together, and you go, it was impressive. And I think that Frazer Clarke delivered. And I agree with Paul Smith that was a career best performance for me, even though that he lost the fight. You look at his fight like against Justis Huni, who was doing unbelievably well against Fabio Waldy before he got knocked out. You go, Frazer's lost a majority decision there. You go, there's time for improvements with Joe Gallagher's done a great job with him.
Where do you think, Josh? I mean, do you look at Frazer? Obviously, Frazer's got a sort of a legacy, like somewhat similar to yours, coming out of the amateurs with big amateur hopes in terms of you achieved something in the Commonwealth, he achieved something in the Olympics. We've seen other people do that, like Luke Campbell come out with big expectations on him. We saw more spectacularly the downfall of Audley Harrison that was expected to go on. Is it a real challenge when you come out of the amateurs with a big reputation? Does that really put an emphasis on you?
Well,
creates more pressure.
Yeah, well, you get a little bit of pressure put on you, because you've been to the Olympics and all that kind of stuff. But again, Frazer's done well. He's had a good go at it, But he's had a couple of bad knockouts and all that now. I think I think he's found his level, and I think if he tries to go in for any other guys, he might get hurt again. He might get knocked out again. And
so what are you veering towards, Josh?
A little bit concerned maybe for his health and that.
Do you not think he can win a British?
I don't know. I really don't know. Like,
what do you
maybe
think? Do you think he can win? We're going against Richard Riakporhe.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying the opportunity. You don't know where Riakporhe was going to go. What I'm saying is, there's been worse British heavyweight.
Yeah, there has been.
I hear you.
There has been.
The current one is Richard Riakporhe.
Yeah, not why he's Riakporhe.
So
that's going to be a tough fight. But you don't know what Joe Gallagher's going to do. You don't know the improvements for him. Like, there is an improvement. If he was 34, had that long, extensive career, and we hadn't seen any improvements, and you go, now we've got an argument of should he be boxing or not.
No,
but
I think it's 34. He's had a lot of miles on the clock. Yeah. I think he's 34, had a lot of miles on the clock. He's had a couple of bad knockouts.
Saying that from the amateurs as well.
From the amateurs and that as well. He's had bad knockouts and things like that. Yes, he did look a little bit better, absolutely. But I don't think it's going to be stepping up them levels, the guys with the titles and that. They're big punchers and all that. And, I don't think it'll be good for his health and stuff like that.
I mean, the balance of probability Frazer's going to fight again, isn't it?
Yeah.
He'll fight again, but I don't think he should.
I think he will.
Before we close the show, we've got to just talk about Justis Huni. I mean, Justis came on, and one of the things that I felt, and again, I bow to all your knowledge, one of the things I felt that this fight was right for Frazer to some extent was that Justis Huni doesn't hit as hard as some other people do. Whilst he's a great technician, Justis talked about sitting down on his punches more. When you look at Justis Huni, boys, and all of you jump in on this, where do you think he should be going, and what do you think he represents in the heavyweight division? My concern for Justis Huni is his punch resistance. I think that he got wobbled in round 4 with Frazer. We've seen him wobbled against Kevin Lorena as well. And you just go, at that top level, that's always going to be a concern.
Especially if you don't punch.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, look, I thought it was a bit of a life and death struggle against Frazer Clarke, wasn't it? So when you're talking about world level, elite level fighters, he's always going to probably fall short. Justis Huni, he's a great fighter, and I think that he's a great name to have in the mix, but I'm not sure that he'll quite cut it at world level.
Yeah. He's got fast hands. I like how he fights. He's like an old school 80s heavyweight, throws a lot of combinations, a lot of fast punches, but there's just not that power there. And as Spencer said, if you're susceptible to being caught yourself and you haven't got that power, then you're going to realistically have to go late or distance.
Wouldn't there be a nice tune-up fight for you, mate?
It's not a recipe.
Wouldn't Justis Huni be a nice tune-up fight for Anthony Joshua?
Deontay Wilder's got more commercial value.
Right, okay. Right, fellas, that's it for episode 167 of Talk Boxing with Simon Jordan, Spencer Oliver and Paul Smith. The brilliant Josh Taylor. Come and see us again. And we'll see you next time we're out, which will be next week.